So this is my little story, and it goes back quite a way, early in my career. Actually, before I was a 3D animator, I worked on CD-ROMs, which was a okay. Yes, that's me. Okay. No, no, I worked on something called CD-ROMs. If you don't know what that is, you're just making me feel old. But yes, I worked on CD-ROMs at a place called Funny Bone, which Michelle worked at with me. And it sort of started like this. A month had gone by, and Gary and I had started to notice a pattern. Gary was a programmer, I was an animator. It was all 2D pixel-based animations of characters going up every time you clicked on them, because that's all CD-ROMs could really figure out how to do. But the pattern we noticed was this spot over there. One day, the programmer who worked at that spot just stood up, walked off into the boss's office, and quit and said, "I'm going to be a farmer," and he left. We went, that's a little weird. So they hired someone to replace him. And so that guy came in, and he lasted like 2 days. And then he got let go or fired. He just disappeared. We never saw him again. And like, okay. Then someone else came in to replace him, this woman, and she was found crying in the bathroom the next day. Hadn't even talked to anyone, so we don't know why. And then she had left, and we're like, oh, something's wrong with that spot. And so they started trying to hire somebody else to fill this programming slot, and they moved him to another chair, so they clearly thought there was a problem with the spot. And still it happened, like someone lasted a week, and then someone lasted a couple of days. They just couldn't keep anyone in this particular job. It wasn't a tough job. It was like 3 other people were doing the same kind of job. It was all macromedia director language, which again, really old. Anyway, so like, you know, Gary and I are like fascinated by this, and we're like, let's go. And we kind of walk over to the spot where they've been moving these programmers to, and they've been moving them spots. But one thing had been consistent. There was a toy. There was a toy sitting on this desk, and somebody had bothered to move it to wherever the next desk was. And it was the best toy ever, because it was a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. And you know, some of those McDonald's toys were great. They were like Disney movie characters, and they were, you know, all kind of like from Fisher Price and whatever, and they were like, you know, sort of mini versions of toys you wanted. This was the brilliant idea of making a transformer, but not a transformer because it was a dinosaur, but it was also a McDonald's food. So it was a soft serve ice cream cone which transformed into a triceratops. It didn't even do it well because all it did was flip open and a head and arms would come out. Like the other ones in that series were better. This one was just... and we're just like, but this is the common element, right? We just started joking like, oh, this is the thing that's been following around all these fired programmers. And so Gary and I made a little game of this. And like, I think you should have this. And I gave it to Gary. It's like, no, no, no. After you. At first it was just a little polite, you know, things like that. But then we got creative, which is always where the trouble starts. And we started hiding it on each other. Like I put it like in his lunch. And he was like, oh my God, the toy. And he would put it under my desk. I would find it or something. And we started going back and forth. And we kept going, it's the cursed toy, it's the cursed toy. And we're giving it back and forth to each other. And, you know, it was just a joke. And then my parents came to visit in the middle of the winter, and like one of the worst snowstorms ever hit Connecticut at that time. I was living and working in Connecticut at the time. And everything's fine. My parents have a great visit, even though it's Connecticut. And I'm driving them to the train station, and the storm hits, and I go to the off-ramp, except the car decides not to follow my lead, and only half the car goes to the off-ramp. And so one hits a snowbank while the other stays on the ground, and the thing just rolls over. And there I am hanging upside down beside my mom and my dad. And everyone's okay. We survive, except for the car. My dad, who's a photographer, did what photographers do. He got a beautiful shot, framed it, 8 by 10. Snow wafting onto a wrecked Ford Escort on its hood. And like, oh. And my parents managed to get off to their plane, and everything's fine, and I'm really upset. But I get back to the office on Monday, and I'm in a really crap mood, and Gary comes over and like, I'm really sorry. It's like, hey man, it's an accident. Things like that happen. It's fine. I was like, no, I'm really sorry. And he reaches over to my desk, and he picks up a Baloo the Bear from from Tailspin. It's about this tall. He pops the leg off, pulls out Kleenex. Wrapped in the Kleenex is the cursed toy. He goes, I'm really sorry. And we laugh. This is hilarious. Oh my God. It's just the thing to sort of take the edge off the mood because we've had such a shitty, day or a shitty weekend. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so the game continues, and we're like, it's okay. And then a week or two later, I get this call, and Gary says, I've been in an accident. Oh, what happened? Like, I'm in the hospital. If you get a chance, come visit me. I'm like, okay, I'm there in no time, right? And I was like, what happened? It's like, I'm on my motorcycle, and I'm just there at the intersection, parked, nothing, like just waiting for the light. And then I hear something behind me, drunk driver behind me, just try to go through the intersection, not knowing there's a motorcycle there, knocks him into the intersection. I come, he's basically okay, but he's got a broken leg. So he's going to recover, he's going to be fine, but it's upsetting, right? And he goes, but there's one thing. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And he pulls up the gown on, and he shows me these two little bruises, these two little lines right here. And I go, what's that? And then he reaches over into the nightstand and pulls the drawer open and pulls out a little ice cream cone transformer triceratops, and he puts it beside and lines up the two ridges, because it's one of those kiddie cones, lines up the two ridges of the outer cone up against his bruise, showing a perfect, CSI style match. And we go, it's the cursed toy. And now the conversion has happened. The two atheists in the room go, no, this is a real curse. We have to do something. What do you do? How do you dispel the curse of a cursed toy? What do you do? And we go to the only font of knowledge we have on the mystic arts, the Brady Bunch. Because we all remember that episode with the cursed tiki. And what you have to do is you have to return it to the hollow ground from which it came. And I swear to God, we really did this. We went to the McDonald's just down the street. And we went to the Playland. And we dug a hole in the Playland. On our half-hour lunch break, because that's all they would give us. And we dug a hole in Playland, buried the cursed toy, covered it up, smoothed it out, hoping no small child would find this dangerous item, and wandered off into this is going, that's settled. And I swear to God, it's the only McDonald's I've ever seen go out of business.